Welcome to Jesse Watters Primetime. I'm Judge Jeanine Pirro. This just in. Instead of stepping in and collecting Joe Biden's classified documents as part of their investigation, the Department of Justice decided to pull back the FBI and instead let Joe Biden's lawyers bring the documents, those classified documents, to them. But don't worry, at least they thought about it. And isn't it the thought that counts? The Wall Street Journal has just reported that the DOJ made that decision for two reasons. One, because Biden's attorneys were being good old boys and girls and, quote, cooperating. And two, they wanted to avoid complicating the investigation. Now, why does Biden get to search his own classified records while Donald Trump gets his house raided by the feds? Legal scholar Jonathan Turley makes the most sense of it, saying, quote, the president has a host of people who regularly handle classified material, so why use the lawyers? The answer appears the same as in the case of Hillary Clinton's emails control. Hillary Clinton can erase 33,000 emails, and Joe Biden can move these documents around. It's what the Democrats do. They control what gets out to the public. And it's why we're only finding out about this now, 3 months after the first batch of documents were found in Joe Biden's Chinese-funded think tank. Now, if this had gotten out before the midterms, Democrats would have been toast, and they know it. Instead, they got to focus only on President Trump's documents, who, by the way, had the power to declassify those documents as president, whereas Vice President Joe Biden didn't. But the White House is not changing their tune. They're once again just sticking to the script and acting like Joe Biden was just surprised by how irresponsible he was.
Why shouldn't Americans be outraged about classified documents being found in a garage?
He said that he didn't know, right? He said that he was surprised, and he said that he takes classified information and documents very, very seriously. We heard directly from the president on this issue.
Oh, but if Joe really took these classified documents very, very seriously, we wouldn't be finding them in garages, libraries, offices, and who knows where else. Just on Friday, they told us there were no more classified documents. But now we know that was a lie. Biden's attorneys on Thursday found 5 more pages of classified documents in the president's home in Delaware, the one he shares with his son, Hunter. And the White House knew it all along. They kept it buried from us until the weekend, when they thought no one would be paying attention.
Did you not know on Friday that those documents had been found when you were at the podium, or are you being directed by someone to not be forthcoming on this?
I have been forthcoming from this podium. What I said yes to was what the statement at the time that we all had, right? You all had the statement, and I was repeating what the counsel was sharing at that time.
Sources tell CNN that searches are still being conducted by the president's lawyers. So there could still be another batch of documents just laying out there in the open. Is it a coincidence that the big guy spent the weekend back home in Delaware? Some are asking if Joe went home to sift through the documents himself. But Karine Jean-Pierre won't give us an answer on that one.
The president loves his Delaware home. It's an extremely personal space for him. Is he physically joining in the search of these things, rummaging around, these boxes in the garage and wherever else? I mean, literally.
Are you listening to the question that you're asking me?
Well, Karine, it feels like the White House isn't listening to any questions. All she does is tell us to ask the Department of Justice, and when we do, they deny and refuse to comment. But America's seeing right through all of this. Even the ladies of The View are telling Biden to just come out and admit he screwed up.
I love Joe Biden, and I want to clear this because I know there's a difference between what he did and what Trump did. It would have been helpful for Joe Biden when it first came out to say, you know, and we have tape of Joe Biden saying that Trump did something stupid and shouldn't have done it and it was bad. Well, he should have said, you look, I know I look hypocritical in that tape. Yeah. I'm sorry about that.
But the problem is Biden is arrogant, and he's not sorry for any of it. Neither is anyone in his administration. Secretary of State Anthony Blinken finally came out of hiding and was asked about his role managing the Penn Biden Center. And this may shock you, but he's playing dumb.
You were, for 2 years, the managing director of the Penn Biden Center. And just ask if you were aware of any reason why classified documents would have been packed and brought there?
The short answer is no. Just as you heard from President Biden about a week ago, I was surprised to learn that there were any government records taken to the Penn Biden Center. I had no knowledge of it at the time.
It's always a surprise to these people, isn't it? What's really surprising is what was discovered on Hunter's gun background check. Hunter not only said he owned the home where these documents were found, but he was paying $50,000 a month in rent. Now, how is that possible? Why would Hunter be paying his own father $50 grand a month to live in the family home? The answers to those questions may be the linchpin to understanding the depths the Biden family finances and their possible corruption.
Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey, click here to subscribe to Fox News YouTube page and catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You will not get it anywhere else.